Hey, how's it going? Welcome. It's my first Q&A on YouTube and I got amazing questions that I want to tackle. So 15 questions in total. I'm trying to do this as fast as I possibly can, but let's just dive into it. You talked about a breakup. I'm dealing with that now. How do you let go, accept and move on? How do you reinvest in yourself and find peace and meaning again? When you're going through a breakup, you let go, accept and move forward by closing the door and not looking back. Because in reality, that's the best thing you can do. Because if there's some element of you that hopes that you will be together one day again, it's still the best thing you can do. Because when you close that door, other doors will get open for you. And you're also not too much thinking about the loss and you're more thinking about the future and how you can build yourself up. And when you do that, either you realize like you overcame the pain that you're feeling and you don't want to call back to that person, or you turn yourself into a more valuable person that this person might one day want to be with. But like, close the door, don't look back. And I know it's really hard to accept and move forward, but you know, use it like, we're so stuck on like, oh, it's so bad and what am I losing now and I want to be with this person. Like what are you gaining? What new opportunities are being open for you? What is something positive that is happening in this experience? And when you think about that, you're not dwelling too much in the past, you're thinking about the present and the future. So maybe you have more time to pursue your interest. Maybe you have more time to reinvent yourself. I always thought that people told me like, oh, enjoy getting to know yourself. And I was like, I know myself, I know psychology. And then I was like, yeah, when you go through, like you're in a relationship and you go through a breakup, you have a lot of time alone. When you have time alone, some thoughts and emotions are going to tackle you. And if you have the courage to deal with those, you'll actually figure a lot about who you are, what you value, what your interests are, and using this pain as a fuel for something more. So instead of like, I'll give you that, lay in bed for one day or whatever, I have compassion for that. It's time to move. Let's go. Get up. Let's go. You've stuff to do. You have a future to develop, and using that pain into becoming an absolute beast in the gym, to become a strong emotional person, to be able to relate to other people, because so many people, nearly everybody has gone through a breakup. So it's like you're learning so much about your life. So accept as hard as you can possibly. And I know that sometimes like one day you're on the top of the world and the next day you're in the basement, but the more quicker you can just close the doors and not only focus about the negative about the experience, and looking at what doors are in front of you and which of those do you want to open and see what's there. And I think when you think about that, you think about the positive that this thing is doing for your life, and then you will be able to, I know you don't see it now, but you will look back at this moment in the middle of the storm when you've gone through it, and you will be like, wow, wouldn't wish it on anybody, but I'm super grateful for what I learned and the person I've become as a consequence. How to reinvest in yourself and find peace and meaning again. The meaning part I just talked about, when you are, you gain meaning in relationship by trying to understand some of it, of like, you can ask yourself when you've gone through the most storm, like, what did I do wrong? And that could be like, oh, I did a lot of things wrong and I need to improve that, and I would actually do that for the next relationship. And then you could ask yourself, like, what have I noticed has changed in my life? Has my belief on relationship changed? Has my belief on the world changed? Have I gotten stronger relationship with my friends or my colleagues or my coworkers because of that? Did I notice any strength of me in the process that I wasn't aware of before? And these positive qualities that I used during the storm. Did I get a new perspective on life? On like, when I was going through my relationship, like, it was so fundamental that you find your person, fundamental belief that you find your person, you stay happily ever after. So that was a shock to me. And I believe that after that, I was just researching like 50% and the divorces in the first marriage, second marriage, 61%, and the third one, 72% or something like that. And I was just like, this is a common thing. It doesn't mean that I'm a failure. It's always the case that people find the person and stay happily ever after. But it's also sometimes the case that people are together and have wonderful time together, and then, you know, they mature separate ways or something happens, and then you'll be able to find a person that more aligns with where you are and where you're going. And so I changed my belief on that a little bit. But there's a lot of positive things that can happen during breakups. So I think finding that meaning, and as I told you earlier, like reinvesting yourself in terms of like getting into a great fucking, I was just joking that like 2 days after I went to my breakup, I was getting my revenge body, which is with my buddies, which was a joke, but like I trained 2 times a day and built me into a monster. And finding peace with it comes with acceptance, I think. So I think I've copied that already. What advice would you give to someone who's struggling to feel understood even though the people around them are positive? If you're struggling to being understood, but you're with people that are positive, I wouldn't throw these positive people in the toilet, but I would develop a new relationship with them, as in like, I wouldn't have the assumption that they are the people who can truly understand me. But because they're positive, and if they're aiming up, and if they're helping you to aim up, and if they're fun and you can relax with them, they're still filling one bucket of your friendships. And if you just go into that friend group with the context of, in this context, I'm just gonna have fun and relax, I think that's okay, which is the first equation. But also when you're struggling to feel not understood, there are people out there that you will meet that will understand you and know you more after 1 hour of conversation than friends that you have had in your life for like 20 years. And those people are on there. So what I would do is I would identify the depth of my interest. And then I would go to places where I'm more likely to meet that people. It might be the library. Maybe you are deep and into philosophy or psychology. I'll go to the library, and then I would see people in the library, and I would start to talk with these people. And then I would go to some events that align with who I am. Might be like health and wellness events, or places where I'm more likely to find like my new tribe. I would also use online tools. Like if I see something on social media is super cool and looks being really deep, I would send them a DM. And then I would test the pool of depth with your people. And I would, instead of being in a group of your people who are really positive, often when you have a one-on-one time with them, you can understand if they can go deep or not. And then you would have to lead with like deep, vulnerable questions. You would have to ask them like, what do you fear the most in life? Like, what are you most afraid of? Like if your life was a book and the next 5 chapters were unwritten, what would be the name of the next chapter? Like what is your favorite thing in the world? And then like reveal also when you're listening, but also reveal some stuff about yourself. Like what are you most afraid of? What are you planning to do with your life? What is your story? Like what is the deepest part of your soul? And doing that in one-on-one setting is more open than in like a setting with a lot of people. So don't throw them in the toilet, be with them, have fun and relaxation, plan a time with them one-on-one, ask some deep questions, dig a little bit deep in, open more self about you, and then go to places where you can meet people who are really interested and aligned with the depth of your soul. You did not reach your initial goal of playing pro. How did you choose your new goal? So I got an existential crisis. My life was only like, I was a football player. My life was football and football, 1, 2, and 3. And then when I realized that I wasn't going to reach my goal of playing for Real Madrid or Manchester United, I got through an existential crisis of like, who the fuck am I? What's my role in this world? What matters in this world? And that was a really, really painful process. And luckily I had started a master's program in positive psychology and coaching psychology, in that we study the factors that makes life worth living. And during those, like, it was like 1 year that I was like dealing with what I wanted to do with soccer and everything, but I was dealing with these questions and accepting these emotions and everything, and one morning I just got this aha moment, amazing idea. I was going to find out what constitutes a meaningful life in 2 weeks and then teach it to others, and that would be my amazing business idea. So, but on the second day, on the third hour, I realized like this was going to be my life's work. So after that, I got a new vision that I wanted to understand what makes this life meaningful, and then apply it to my own life and apply it to other people's lives. It was like research, and I just kind of chase that. So I don't know if I chose that goal. I think that goal chose me, or that vision, or that purpose. But I think it was, something, and this is good to share. I was in psychology for like my bachelor's for 3 years, and I didn't have a lot of interest in psychology. But then I started my master's, and then this passion just took over. The passion, purpose, and meaning I had in soccer just transferred to understanding and applying the tools that made people's life better. So I would say it chose me that goal, but it helped to have something alongside with my soccer career that I could kind of fall into, and speaks volume to the benefits of like not knowing your passion but doing things and increasing your competence in things, and something grips you, that makes you like obsessed about something. And so yeah, I would try a bunch of things out for a long period of time, maybe do it on the side when you're pursuing other goals, and yeah, and something in the environment will goals reveal itself with action, not by thinking. So I was lucky that I had this buffer of studying this science, and that was really helpful for my identity and accepting the identity loss of being a football player. How do you deal with people in your life who you feel provide more negative energy than positive? I get rid of them. I get rid of people who have negative energy. I choose not to interact with them. I don't own anybody anything. You're not like when you have friends, you don't sign a contract and like we are going to stay friends for life. If somebody is having a bad influence on my life and that outweighs the positive thing and positive energy they give me to my life, won't invest in them, won't tolerate the bullshit, and I will get rid of them. So that's what I do. I deal with people, I don't deal with them. I don't deal with people who give me negative energy. I just surround me with people who are winners, have positive energy, and make my world a better place. So, and I'll communicate that to them, or I give them signals that they're not the person I want to hang around with. Just as I say to the people that give me positive energy, these are the people who I want to be around with, because your people, your friends that you like, if you have a person that is negative in your life and has negative energy, that's going to affect you way more than you think. If she's a close friend, you're going to be like the saying of your average of your 5 best friends. That's true. That is true. So life is too short to have some negative people in life, and I'll just have the courage to dump them. Just like you're not going to be a part of my life because you are negatively influencing my energy and my soul and where I'm going, and it's not helpful, and I'm going there and you're trying to drag me down, or you're not supporting that. Like, done deal. So yeah, that's how I deal with them. If they're like family members, if my family members give me negative energy, that's a little bit different, and then I just accept them who they are. So if they are having a bad day or telling the same negative stories or not being supportive or whatever, I accept my family. My family is awesome, by the way, but she's also human. And when I accept them, like they are a part of my life, and I accept that, it makes me just easier for me to deal with that and not let it affect me as much. So you choose your friends and you belong to your family. Something like this, like the quote that I heard once, so that's my strategy. What do you do when you feel lost in life? I try to understand why I'm feeling lost, and then what I want to do in the future. So I try to understand what came to the conclusion that I'm feeling lost, and I ask myself some really difficult questions, like am I putting the energy in the things that I really want to be doing? Am I in the right school, right work? Am I in the right relationship? Do I have the right friends? And then I try to answer that question honestly with myself. Am I excited about the future that I'm working towards? And I be brutally honest to myself, and when I'm brutally honest to myself and I write a lot, I have this conversation with myself, and the next step after that, I talk to my friends. I have many friends that are like coaches or therapists, and I lay out to them that I'm lost or I don't know what to do, and by just doing that I understand it a little bit more, and I allow myself to be lost. It's fine to be lost, and I don't have to understand everything about being lost or have the perfect vision for the future and understand what is happening. And I give myself some time. Like if I'm lost, it's fine. And if I'm having that season in my life, for having it for a couple of weeks or a month, it's fine, because I think when you're lost, sometimes things reveal itself to you. So I also allow myself to be lost. I'm not trying to fix it, but then I start to understand it, and then I talk to people about it, and then I actually start to think in solutions. Okay, what's the alternative to being lost? And that's being clear. Okay, strip aside all my past. What do I want now? What is calling to me? What does my soul want to do? And what do I need to figure that out? Like action. Don't be in your head. Like, okay, this might be something. Try it out. Try it out for a couple of weeks, months. See what happens. Lay out a rough vision for the future. Right? Who do I want to be in 5 years? What kind of life do I want to have? What kind of friends do I want to have? How do I want to relationship with my family want to be? What kind of work do I want to have? What will I do in my leisure time? And just write that, allow yourself to write that down for 10 or 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be clear, it can be unclear, but unclear vision is way better than no vision. Because when you start moving towards that vision, the vision will get clearer. But you won't have the perfect vision just on your paper before you start. You have to actually go into the world and do something with your life, and then the world will open clarity for you. But then also, this is when I feel lost in life, pursue yourself. Pursue yourself. Like, what can you do today to make the day tomorrow better? What small thing? Could be running 2 miles, could be going to the gym, it could be complimenting a stranger, it could be telling your friends that you care about them. What is one thing that you could do today that would instantly make your life better tomorrow? And you kind of reverse, instead of having the top, having your vision, 5-year vision figured out, you start locally. How can I improve my life? What one thing can I do today to improve my life for tomorrow? And then when you have done that, then you can ask yourself, what is another thing I can do and implement in my life to improve my life? So if you pursue yourself in that process also, you'll gain more clarity on yourself and your routines, and you're doing the best that you can with your life and with the people and the community around you. And that will give you a lot of meaning and resilience in the process of finding where you want to go. And then you can just, if you continue just to implement this thing of like being better today than yesterday with one simple thing, if you do that for like half a year or something, you will not be lost. You will turn into something else. I don't know what it will be, but some incredible human being. And then maybe you have a stronger foundation of being clear of who you are and what you want in life. What's your vision for the future? My vision for the future is I look most forward to being a dad. Might happen after 10 years, might happen after 5 years, 3 years, I don't know. But I think I want to start a family, and I want to have a wife that loves me, I want to have children, and I want to experience what it is to being a dad. Doesn't mean that I've never felt that secure in myself, and like I'm not rushing through that process, but I definitely want to have a family. I think that's a marker of success that I want to have, and I think the marker of success if my children want to hang out with me when I get older. I want to have abundance in money, so I don't need to be filthy rich. I just want to have the amount of money I can do whatever, whenever, with whoever I want to do. So it's more like a freedom thing. And more like using money to either contribute to something beyond myself, so a cause or something, giving money to charity, and like philanthropy, like, or either that, or like, and also like using money to free up my time and give me more freedom and allow me to have more impact in the world, because I think it's a tool for that. My purpose is always to make an impact, and the money comes. But definitely, I don't have a number in my mind, and maybe I should write it, but I want to definitely have economic abundance, and I know that will happen. Then I want to help as many people as I can live a better life, and to navigate through difficult transitions, you know, in life, to live a life of meaning, to live a life of resilience, to live a life of strength, wisdom, courage. And I want to do that through social media on a better level. Like, I hope my YouTube channel will blow up, and my Instagram, and then I want to speak all over the world. I want to spread the message to the world, and finding like a niche that I could do that. And then I want to have one of the most popular podcasts in the world. I want to coach the most influential, high-achieving people in the world. And I want to develop scalable ways to help people who don't afford having a coach. And so I want to design different layers of the influence I can have, and then scale some stuff to reach to the masses, but they'll also have a great impact on people that I work like closely with. And I want to have a team of researchers and practitioners that I'm leading, that goes into organizations and helps them to improve their performance and well-being. And then I want to run a bunch of marathons and ultramarathons, and I want to be like an absolute beast when I'm 40, like being in a better shape when I'm 40, when I'm 30, and have fun. Yeah, I want to play more, have fun. Life is so good. And so it's my vision for the future, is being aligned with who I am and what I'm doing and what the world needs. Being in my ikigai, so doing what I can become the best in the world that I love to do, I can get paid for, and a problem that the world needs to solve. And if I'm doing that, my life is good. But family, kids, wife that loves me, fantastic house, car, all of that shit. But more importantly, I'm using the money to improve the world and increase my impact. Incredible shape, I'm in a good status, like mentally as well. That's my rough vision for the future. It's not clearer than that. How can I train myself to feel better about my progress and feel as if the world won't be better without me? Start with the second point. If you feel that the world is better without you, you're wrong, because lack of your best hurts everything, and we need you. Your role is really important in this life, and I'm saying that from the deep roots of my heart. Lack of your presence would be a damage to the world, to your family, to your friends, to the community. And you can be a light in the world if you want to. And the world is way worse without you. And it can become way better with you. Maybe you don't see it now, but you will see it in the future if you just keep pushing, keep progressing, keep turning your suffering into a light in other people's world, so you can be a force for good, man. Force for good. And this touches me a little bit personally. A family member took their own life, and that has had a really bad influence on a lot of people and caused more suffering than they probably realized. There's a lot of things, it's a complicated thing, but we need you. Just wanted to tell you that, and your presence and light means the world to me and the world to people around you, and you can be and shine even brighter in this life, and you owe it to the world to commit to life. How can you feel better about you can feel better about your progress by not focusing only on what's wrong with you or what you didn't do today and what did you lack today. And just this simple exercise at the end of the day, because we're so fucking goddamn good at noticing what we did wrong and what we could have done better, and like these painful mistakes, and bad is stronger than good. So something negative captures our attention and has more impact on us than something positive. There's a lot of things that were positive that happened to you that you actually did. So I call this celebrating wins. So you go throughout the day and you look at your day and you notice 3 things that you did well today. And maybe that was waking up instead of snoozing, or maybe it was you study for 1 hour. Maybe you smiled at a stranger. It could be something really, really small, but what you're doing that is that you're noting your progress, and don't neglect the small progress, because the small progress will turn into something big eventually. It doesn't have to be something big, it is just something small, and just notice that and rewire your own brain for only think about not feeling good about your progress and what you're doing, and that you are doing way better than you think. And maybe you have progressed a lot, but you just keep raising your standards. Maybe that's the case, and maybe you need to attend more to the good stuff that you're already doing. And then you rewire your brain for noticing the negative and letting the negative influence you, and being shameful about your progress in terms of being grateful for your progress. All of the small steps and big things you've done that's made you to the person that you are today. How do you know if you're doing the right thing to make yourself feel accomplished? Wow, I know it because I know I'm doing the right things to feel accomplished, because I've laid out goals in my life based on my vision. And those goals have difference in importance. So you can set goals that relates to professional things such as school and work, and then you can have goals in terms of leisure or your personal and health and physical health and mental health, and then you can have like relationship goals. And when you structure that, you can then, let's say your most important goal is to apply to a new job. And then I know if I've worked 3 hours in updating my CV today, then I was feeling accomplished. If I sent an application in for 10 companies, I will feel accomplished, because all of those small steps, they are leading to my goal of getting a new job. I know I'm progressing in that direction. So I would say you have goals, and then you construct the daily actions and behavior and habits that will help you reach that goals, but you focus on the daily habits, and you ask yourself each morning, like, what are the 3 top things I could do, and if I completed them today, I'm doing the right thing. And if you deviate from that, you can ask you, like, what did I do wrong there, and how can I focus on the most important things tomorrow? So that's what you do. You know that you're doing the right thing to make you feel accomplished when you know where you're going, and your daily habits and the things that you decide on daily is supporting the person that you're becoming. How do you make big decisions? How do you know which one to pick? Big decisions are tough, and I help a lot of people with big decisions. You don't always know which one to pick, and this is a problem when making decisions. Firstly, you have so many options in your life. You're probably making a decision about school or work or relationships, and you have so many options, which makes you analyze every option, and you're like, what is the pros and cons of doing this option, and what happens when I do this option? Then this will happen in my life, but this is also uncertainty, and this is a more safe option, this is more risky option, and like you try to use each of the options that you have, and then you imagine yourself that you know all the answers towards making that option. So that ends up being analysis paralysis. And then you end up making no decisions. And I can tell you that the worst decision of all is not making a decision. Because then you're looping in between of like you haven't decided, but you have all of these options, and you can be in that progress for like months or years, and that's really disturbs your life. And the quicker you can make decisions, the better. But how do I make the decision? You don't always know which one to pick, and you have to take a risk by picking one decision. And when you pick one decision, something happens. If you like it, keep doing it. If it doesn't, stop doing it, make another decision. You're not making the decision for your life. We sometimes think like this is the defining decision of my life, and sometimes it's an important decision, but sometimes you just make a decision and something will happen and you'll figure it out. Yeah. Take some chances. But you make decisions by using 3 cues. One of them comes from the rational brain, so you have the options in front of you and then you know the pros and cons of each option. So when you have that and you have all the data, you can ask yourself, what decision does my heart want me to make? And your heart is your values, like what you stand for, like honesty or love or courage or growth or relationships or whatever your values is. What would your heart tell you to do? And then lastly, you rely on your gut feeling. This feeling that you can explain that is like giving you cues on making a specific decision. But sometimes the gut is telling you the right thing to do, but sometimes the gut is acting out of fear, which is like a complex thing to distinguish from. If the gut is telling me not to do something because I'm afraid of doing that. And then you have to untangle a little bit, like what is my gut actually telling me? So you rely on all of these data, the brain, the heart, and the gut. And when you have all the data, I would give myself maybe a deadline to make a decision, like a month, 2 weeks at a time, and then I would decide I would make a decision that time. And then I would call a bunch of friends, my close circle that I trust and get feedback from, and then I would pick a decision. I had the courage to pick one decision and realize that, could be a wonderful decision, could be a scary decision, but like if I don't like the decision, I can always change and decide on something else. So say I do that. If you could give everyone a piece of advice, what would it be? Figure out your unique gifts and give it relentlessly to the world. Figure out what game you want to play, because you can play a game in which you can win and go all in, leave nothing behind. Do your absolute best of becoming the person you can become. Don't be on your deathbed when you're 90 of like, and you met the person you could have become. Don't have that regret. Live your life like you're a hero in your own story. Take risks, have fun, go through difficulties, come on the other side deeper. Think about who you could become, and then every day work towards that vision. And remember to enjoy the journey in becoming that person. Say yes to life. Live life like an adventure. You only get one. And romanticize your life. Your life is important. Your life is fantastic. You are the hero in your own story. And what would make the most incredible story for you? That will be to go all in, to take risks, move to that country, talk to that girl, quit that job, because there's so many aspects of you that you don't even have realized, and you can become way more than you are. But you will only realize that by being resilient, strong, courageous, taking the road less traveled, being true to your own voice, taking your own path, not what everybody else is doing, going your own way and being authentic and true to yourself. So I think that's the piece of advice that I would give you. How can a more introverted individual authentically practice the connection with stranger concept? So if you're introverted and you find hard to be in a lot of social situations, but you want to connect with people, what I would do is either I would force myself to behave like an extrovert, and there are actually studies that show that behaving like an extrovert for a week increases your well-being. So just finding an extrovert person, like noting what qualities they have and just acting like it. And that increases their well-being, and that's going to maybe develop the extrovert dimensions or range that you can have in your life. And then I think connection with the stranger concept. So rather than going to like a big events, I would probably seek more intimate events, such as like intimate coffee shops or library, or where there's less crowd, because I think you would probably feel better when there's less people compared to like a massive event. And then I would practice talking to strangers. So on a coffee house, there's maybe 10 people in the coffee house, and then I can ask the person like, what are you getting? He or she says like, I'm getting a latte, and you're like, oh, latte, is that your favorite? What would you recommend that I do? And just spark up the conversation and ask them more introverted, deeper stuff, like what brings you here, and then they talk about what they're doing for work, and then you can ask them, well, what made you pick that occasion? And you can like dive deeper in a more like intimate setting with people, and then you can like gauge how much people are into that. But I think that's definitely better for introverts than talking to a lot of people at a massive event, if that makes sense. But yeah, so I would definitely do that. I would do where less people are, and then I would force myself to talk to people. And then I would also try to act more extroverted in bigger events and see how that will impact me. How do you keep a conversation going when it starts to die down and both parties go silent? So when a conversation starts to go down and then both parties go silent, I think it's really good to have some pocket questions. And the pocket questions could be like, what is really going well in your life right now? And then you can ask them, what's your favorite thing about where you grew up? And you can listen like to the person, and you can use your curiosity of what they were telling you to ask them more deeper questions. So if it's dying down and it's not because this person doesn't want to talk to you, you can ask them deeper questions and really listening to what they're saying. I also think silence is okay. I think if you're comfortable with the silence, the person will acknowledge that as well. But I do think, and then you like notice cues, like so you can test something out. So when you're talking to people, you will notice that how they behave when you're talking. So they show you eye contact, or they're really expressive and they're answering to you. And if they're not, maybe they're shy, but maybe they just don't want to engage in that type of a conversation. But then you can either try to change the topic of figuring out what is one story I want to tell, or topic I want to discuss, or question that I want to ask. And you can change the topic and realize if this is like what kind of a conversation you're having, and using that to keep the conversation going. But if it's not going, and if this person is not giving you, and you have the cues that this person isn't really ready for that conversation, that's fine. Then you can just like, if the silence is and you're just going, you can say, hey, I'm gonna go there and talk to these people, or I'm going to order this coffee, or I'm going to start my workout, or whatever. And you can ask them like, I'll either like, I see you soon, or you can ask them about how is the best way to connect with them, or whatever. What made you stop playing professional soccer? I can't see a ceiling over my head. So I wanted to play for the biggest club in Europe. And I realized that I was getting to 27, and that I would maximum play, if I would perform well, I would play in the Nordic countries somewhere, in Sweden or Norway maybe. And that just didn't appeal to me, because I wanted to maximize myself in soccer, and I kind of had a sober conversation to myself that that was not going to happen. But at the time, I was coaching people and doing public speaking, and I wanted to write a book, and I was feeling the impact I was having on other people, and that gave me like the purpose and passion that I always had in soccer. And I didn't see a roof over my head how much I can impact the people and how much I can grow as an educator, as a coach, as a public speaker, and that kind of took over my passion and purpose. And I promised myself, although I was getting paid for playing, that if I would lose my passion and purpose, I would stop playing. And that's what I decided to do. So I decided to stop playing professional soccer, to go all into helping people live a meaningful life, and I don't regret that decision for a second, because that's the reason why I live in LA and Venice Beach, and I'm doing all the stuff I've been doing in my life for the past 5 years or so. Last question, what are some books you recommend that help you come to the conclusion of your work? I mean, there's so many, and the conclusion of my work is based on my experience, based on so many research articles and also a book. But one is Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. That's my most recommended book. I absolutely love that book, and it teaches you a lot about how to stay resilient and have a purpose and understand your suffering and what to do about it in a really practical manner. There's a lot of people, I mean, I like Atomic Habits. It's simple. It relies on like the habits and daily systems that you need to focus on to become better, and I think it's really digestible, and how to really change your behavior. It's not the conclusion of my work, but I would say I've relied on that a lot. 12 Rules for Life after Jordan Peterson, I like that one. Dare to Lead after Brené Brown, I like that one. Hidden Potential after Adam Grant, I like that one. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that's a really good book. There's a lot of books that have impacted me, but not one book that I've come to the conclusion of my work. But if I would say one book that has impacted me the most, I would say Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. Well, that's it. Thank you. Appreciate you for your time and attention, and I'll see you soon.